and the need that I saw is, like recently, ChatGPT came out. It is amazing, but a lot of people aren't getting much out of it. And so
Right.
40% of people, they're using it a little bit, but but there's so much more that they can get out of it. I'm going to say the secret is having great prompts that like gets you a lot more value out of ChatGPT. And so I know the prompts, like I have been playing with it, especially as an AI expert. So I'm putting out the prompts that I'm using. The modern way of thinking of a workbook, people used to have workbooks that they would give out with their courses or with their workshops.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Yeah. Exactly. And ChatGPT can essentially help you do that. And it's got a bunch of more strengths to that. So I'm basically talking to experts saying, hey, let's get your insights out there in a way that people can leverage AI.
Welcome, dear viewers, to the Power Minds channel. Today, it is my great pleasure to welcome Vineet, who joins us from Boston to share with us his experiences as an entrepreneur. Very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Alex. I really appreciate it. Thank you for organizing this.
Yes, and we're going to learn so much from you because I want to showcase you because you are a serial entrepreneur, founder. You have actually at the moment a very fascinating project, which is you're building ChatGPT for professionals. And dear viewers, please make sure to check out Cone.ai and register. It's coming out very soon. And this is going to be a really useful tool for anyone in the professional world. So that much I can say already. So you have other projects, entrepreneurial projects like Niche Mastery. You help people find focus, gain clarity, build resonance. And that's definitely why I got in touch with you, because that's a huge need. And also your mission, as you put it on Twitter, is to help professionals also utilize the new tools that are out there. One of them is obviously social media, Twitter, but also you called it nicely decoding the art of building fans in the AI age. And that is wonderful. So let me start by asking you, can you tell the viewers a bit more about all that wonderful work you're doing?
Yeah, there's so much to say. I think ever since the pandemic hit us, people have been going to Twitter. They've been trying to connect online, and figuring out Twitter is a little bit hard. And so I sort of gravitated towards, as a geek, as somebody who had a lot of insights, I gravitated towards Twitter, trying to figure out how to use it. I struggled a lot in the beginning, and with a personal goal of trying to help a lot of people. I put down a lot of resources. That's why I created Niche Mastery. But my strength at the end of the day is an AI person. I've been doing this for 20 years. And the need that I saw is, like recently, ChatGPT came out. It is amazing, but a lot of people aren't getting much out of it. And so
Right.
I wanted to change that. Like I did a survey, less than 10%, closer to 5% of people are getting as much value out of it as they can. And
so that's very interesting, because we all think already that we know it, even though it has just been born, but we don't actually. Yeah, I have a similar feeling.
Yeah, so about what I found is like about 40% of people, they're too busy, they're too scared, they're not sure, they haven't done much on ChatGPT. About 40% of people, they're using it a little bit, but but there's so much more that they can get out of it. And of course, there's a bunch of people who are like, honestly, ChatGPT sucks. I mean, that's what they're thinking. And so like there's this large group of people, 80% of the population. So I want them to be able to find it helpful. And the simplest way, honestly, is talking to experts, talking to people who are getting out of it, experts within every domain.
Yes, now you are across all domains. So basically the main people you're actually targeting with this is professionals in any field, right? Yeah. Experts who are established or just starting their career, but anyone who wants to get a foot in that ChatGPT AI world, right?
Yeah, and then who wants to get comfortable with it. Exactly. So I want to help them all. And I'm going to say the secret is having great prompts that like gets you a lot more value out of ChatGPT. And so I know the prompts, like I have been playing with it, especially
Ah,
as an AI expert. So I'm putting out the prompts that I'm using, and very
mm-hmm,
specifically, getting comfortable with Twitter, figuring out your niche on Twitter, creating good content. Theoretically on Twitter, there's some tools out there, but like blog posts,
mm-hmm.
how do you do all of that? So I've got a bunch of prompts from my work. So I'm going to start, and that's what I'm going to be, getting into the hands of a lot of people starting, this week. So much. And, the sort of the modern way of thinking of a workbook, people used to have workbooks that they would give out with their courses or with their
Oh, yes, I
workshops.
remember.
Yeah, exactly. And ChatGPT can essentially help you do that. And it's got a bunch of more strengths to that. So I'm basically talking to experts saying, hey, let's get your insights out there in a way that people can leverage AI with it, right? And of course, they'll never be able to do as well, even with an AI, as with your expertise. And when they get stuck, they will
Mm-hmm.
reach out to you. They will say, "Hey, I'm using the prompts that Alex has created. I see the world so much better, right? But I still have this ugly question about how to deal with, I don't know, my boss versus my personal passions, right?
Right.
And that's where they say, okay, you know what? Let me do a consulting call with Alex.
Ah, yes, yes, yes. Okay.
So
So
yeah, I
you
want to.
basically, so
Yeah,
you
go ahead.
actually, if I understand you correctly, you're connecting the expertise and the human knowledge with AI in such a way that you bring them together easier. Because if I understand you,
Yes.
Cone.ai will actually allow us easier access to ChatGPT.
Yes. So it will allow you easier access because the expertise of other people that I'm talking to on the
Mm-hmm.
back end is going to be exposed through the platform,
Ah, right. So can
right?
you give the viewers a little idea of how that will look like? So if they sign up this week, for example, and then you say you're launching soon, what can we imagine to get with this tool? So I log into Cone AI, and then I find possibly an easier way of interacting with ChatGPT, right?
Yeah. So what you do with Cone when you log in, you choose your role, and
Mm-hmm.
right now the focus is on creators, right?
Mm-hmm.
Content creators. But in the next sort of 2 weeks, we'll be expanding that a lot more. But you choose your role, and then after you choose your role, it basically lists the kinds of problems that you might have, and
Mm-hmm.
then or the stage where you're in your workflow, and you pick that,
Ah, it takes into
and
account
then
your workflow. Okay,
yeah,
that's already a
right.
huge
And
thing. Yeah.
then based on that, it gives you, here's a few tasks that you might want to do. You choose the task. It's got these built-in prompts. To put it differently,
Oh,
it's kind
that
of a
is,
fancy prompt
I
library.
will be using that. That is so valuable. You know why? Because we all think out of our expertise, we have our workflow, the steps of the process, we have that present. Yes, we do. But in everyday life, we know it. We have to reactivate it. You know, when things get going quickly, oh yeah, what was the step again? And then we have to look that
Right.
up, as you said. And if that tool can help me in looking it up quicker and then having the right prompt, that is a huge
Yeah.
value gain.
Yeah. And the difference between somebody who's an expert on a topic versus somebody who's a beginner is like to an expert, it's muscle memory. Like they're not going to forget it, right? But when
Mm.
somebody's a beginner, they need to be guided. They're usually overwhelmed with like so many things I need to keep in mind.
Ah, yes,
Well,
yes, yes, that as well. The overwhelming feeling, yeah.
yeah, and ChatGPT's strength is that I'm going to say, it can follow rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to get experts to basically write down the rules, and then allow anybody to use it, and experts will
Right.
get credit for their rules that they create.
Ah, so my actual way of using Cone AI will actually also enable the tool to learn from that.
Yeah, so so yes, but it's only going to be because an expert has coded up, this is how
Mm-hmm.
you do it. So the tool is going to ask you questions. It's going to
Ah, I see.
it's
Yeah.
going to get information from you because an expert has said you need to know, like content creation, you need to know what is spiky about what you're trying to say, as an
Yes.
example. And
And
so
that is
because
what you're
it'll ask
doing right
you
now. You're working, sorry if I chip in there, you're working with a network of experts to make that possible, right?
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of knowledge going in there thanks to your expertise of linking up with the right professionals. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to I mean, you said you're going to expand. So at the moment it's creators, and then you're going to expand. It's industry neutral, it's professions neutral. Do you then want to link that also with your other businesses? Like I mentioned at the beginning, niche mastery. Is that going to influence the
Yes.
Cone.ai?
Yeah. So niche mastery is very specifically focusing on people starting with social media and the
Mm-hmm.
challenges with it.
So that's
Yeah.
how do I get started with social media? Okay.
Yeah. So niche mastery, so it's a very specific part. There's an ebook, there's a bunch of workbooks. And then now that I have Cone.ai ready, I am basically going to put all of those ideas so that you can get the benefit of that from Cone.ai.
Oh,
So
great.
if
You
you
can
read the
use that
book,
as a platform for all your other businesses. That's great.
yeah, theoretically, I mean, so I think it's a great way. I mean, like I genuinely think of it as it's a modern workbook that you can sort of put tasks on repeat and get the boring stuff taken care of by the platform to some extent.
Oh, that is
Um,
wow. I'm
yeah,
looking
so
forward.
again, there's a lot to getting that working right. But that's what the platform does. So if you are, I'm going to say a course creator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's still a value for courses, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you want to sort of apply the ideas, when you want to work on it by your own time, like yes, this is where Cone.ai will help you,
Mm-hmm.
but every there's value for courses, there's value for coaching, consulting, like whatever like those things don't go away.
Yes.
This works in tandem with that.
Oh, yeah, that is an important thing to underline, because since I'm also publishing and writing and researching on AI, I find this is the huge stereotype about AI that now everyone keeps on saying, and I hear that frequently. Oh my God! So if I use ChatGPT, then my whole expertise will be redundant, and that's completely not true. You just outlined it at its best. What we need to stress is this is like an enhancement. It's like an amplifier of your own expertise. But as you said, let's take the coaching example. So I'm a coach. If I coach someone, my actual dialogue with the person and my emotional intelligence to motivate the person is not going to be replaced by AI. AI, on the other hand, like your tool, can enable me to have the process of preparing for that coaching session in a much more efficient and joyful way.
Right. The way I genuinely think of ChatGPT is it's like a 10-year-old. Now,
Right.
if a 10-year-old can do your job, you're going to lose your job to ChatGPT, right? But most of us, like we've
Nice
got a lot
image.
more, yeah, we've got so much more experience. We like, I'm going to say just the undergrad training, the critical thinking to actually
Mm-hmm.
solve problems, like that is incredibly valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So ChatGPT is not going to take your job away. You can be scared of it. It's like you're like a smartphone. Smartphones don't take your job away. If you
Yeah, it's
use it,
just an
then
enhancement.
you can
Yeah.
enhance it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you can choose to not enhance your work. There
Yeah.
is some benefit to that, but I think there is far more benefit to leveraging it and really riding and getting the benefits from it. And I think the biggest benefit, is get it to do the boring, simple work,
Yeah.
right?
That's what
Um,
I always used to say. For me, it feels like since I got into the world of AI, it feels like the stuff that I struggled with the most. For example, if I prepare a coaching session, there's several steps of documentation to go through. That documentation is always the same. It's repetitive work. And that documentation can be simple, quicker, and without this feeling of, oh, I have to document that again. You know what I mean? It's like after 30 years, we all feel that. And these things can be taken away by AI, but in such a way that it's how can I say, efficient and intelligent. And as you say, if we teach it the right prompts, it comes up with a good quality. But still, we need to be the ones who steer the process.
exactly, exactly. And it's hard um, for non-experts to create prompts on a topic that an expert is good at,
Yeah.
right? So it genuinely needs, the reason that people are struggling with Chat GPT is because, well, they're trying to solve problems, but they really do need that expertise.
Mm.
So the question that most people, they're not really asking this, but the question that they have is, how can I leverage Alex's expertise to solve this problem? And what I'm expecting, hoping that Alex will, encode some, can't encode everything, some of your expertise in a set of prompts, and then people will be able to say, yeah, it's midnight, but at least I can get this work done, and I'll be ready with all the critical questions so that when I'm actually talking to Alex tomorrow, I'll have everything ready, thought through, and we
Yes.
can have a really productive conversation.
Exactly. And that is what you just described. That is the enhancement. That's the amplification. What would in the previous world maybe have been something, it would have worked as well, but maybe then there would have been a second, encounter because we forgot things. And then you would have to, it would just take longer, and maybe there is some retakes. I'm not saying that the process will be perfect now. The aim is not to have perfectionism, but it's just, as you described, it's smoother, it's more efficient, it saves maybe some hours. Instead of working midnight or like forgetting everything the next day, you will just have the work prepared. And that is worth so much for our quality of life, right?
Right. And I can tell you that as somebody using a bunch of AI tools, it does make my work far more intense. It's like I have to be, there's a lot less boring work that I have to do because the boring stuff, the tools are taking care of it for me.
Yes, and you can focus on the learning, on the fun stuff, on the growing. That's exactly.
And
I feel the
leveraging
same.
your skills to make a difference, right? And then and use the tools in the right way.
I'm actually so glad you're saying that, because in my last blog I published, I actually wrote on that because I'm really passionate about this. We have this epidemic of burnouts, of people saying, oh my God, it's so many hours, and the quantity of work is increasing. I think if we do it intelligently, we can use AI to get that part of suffering at the workplace down, by actually just outsourcing the boring stuff to AI, but in such a way that we are in the steering, in the control.
Right. Exactly. It's kind of like having your own personal VA to some extent, right? With their
Virtual
ChatGPT.
assistant, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. So happy you confirmed that. And this is funny because I see it from the outside developing world, and you are a developer, if I might call you so. You actually build the tools. So if you confirm that, I'm really happy, because that is what I see for the future. I see a bright future with AI. We also had on the Power Minds channel a really interesting company who said that in their blog. Even they said, listen people, AI comes in peace. There's no war for jobs. Because it even creates more jobs,
Yeah, so it's worth mentioning people are losing jobs right now, and they are pointing fingers at AI, but in my opinion, the real culprit is the economy, right? So what AI and any new technology is going to do is it's going to force people to change a little bit, to adapt to it, right? But that's not that doesn't mean that you're going to lose your job. But technologies don't make you, generally speaking, lose jobs. Technologies don't, I'm going to say, kill people. It's people using technologies badly, right? I get asked this question a lot: is AI going to take over the world? Is Terminator going to happen? And I said, my answer almost always is that before AI tries to take over the world, it's going to be some evil guy with a master plan using computers to take over the world. It's
exactly. It needs a human to actually prompt that to the AI.
Exactly. So it is the economy. If the economy wasn't causing a complication, sure, some people might have lost jobs, but then there would be almost any new technology. There would be a lot more new jobs that would get created, all in the quest of, any big company. I have a certain budget. How can I spend this budget in terms of, I'm going to say, winning over my competitors and gaining market share, right? So the quest is, generally speaking, not one of I'm going to say losing jobs, but it's about doing a better job for their customers. So
improving with the technology, using the technology. I mean, it's a tool. At the end of the day, I liked also some of your tweets, how you put it. At the end of the day, it's now us learning how to use a new tool. It's like, I want to build a house. I need to know the tools of house building. That's it.
Right. Right.
It's as
It
simple
is
as that.
going to be, yeah, it is going to be a little bit, in my opinion, of a tougher change
Mm-hmm.
because of a few things. One is the pandemic happened, and our behaviors have changed so much.
Ah, yes, new
And
requirements. Yeah.
yeah, the requirements the world has changed.
Mm-hmm.
And like I keep going back to the pandemic because like when it was happening, people didn't, people were trying to deal with this crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the crisis is kind of over, well, businesses are evolving to what does that mean, to their
Yeah.
business. What is the updated behaviors? Like it made a huge dent, this generational change. I think AI is also a very similar generational change that it's enabling whole
Mm-hmm.
classes of new things. That means basically requirements are changing. We need
Yeah.
to adapt to it. AI is helping us, but we need to more than anything, we need to just lean in to the change. And what do people, I'm going to say, if you're an individual solopreneur, what is the market changing? Market's going to change faster now,
Oh,
right?
yes.
And if you're working for a big company, well, what does the company need to do to succeed in the market?
Yeah.
Before you could have political silos, there's no space for that as much. You've got
Yeah.
to be a lot more agile and responsive. And
And
that's
connected. Yeah. You mentioned
yeah,
silos. I would like to add to your wonderful sentence, and you got to be much more connected and collaborative. That is as well a
exactly,
trend. So
exactly.
thank you for that, because I think it's strong that you actually underline it's both the corporate world and the entrepreneurial world that is having new requirements. So it's service providers adapting to clients, clients adapting to service providers, generations adapting to each other. And it's in a way, it's a bit softer, but in a way, it's nice that you mentioned also the pandemic. It's like in the pandemic, we are being almost, woken up. Hello, there's a new age of tools now. Now learn them. So it's like an appel. It's like people are calling us, or not people. The technology is calling us. Learn us because there's a better world. That's what I feel. you know.
Yeah, right, totally. And what this means is, yeah, yes, AI, but yes, social, more automation, more agility, more collaboration, right? These so many changes that are happening, and we need to just adapt. We
Yeah.
can't uh, we can't sit back, unfortunately, with our work. But every
Exactly.
hour that we work is going to be more meaningful because we've got these tools now to help us.
Yeah. And what I felt even today, just in every micro step of my own work that I'm doing at the moment, is whenever I start to have these reflexes of what I used to do in the past, I say to myself, hang on, I used to do that like this. Even today, I had that with a tool, and I was like, now hang on. I used to now learn on Twitter so many new tools. Why do I do it like in let's use 2005, you know? Can I please also be more self-aware? So that's my quest to myself, self-aware about my own reflexes, about tools. The tool choices we do, some of them are so ingrained, especially those of us who are longer than 10 years on the market. And we need to challenge ourselves in that. So I said to myself, okay, stop. Before I'm doing this, even launching a printer, what do I need a printer for? Let's look for the right tool now in 2023. So that actually, okay, I had to put in 30 minutes of my time to find the right tool, but then I learned something and I was so much quicker.
Exactly. So yeah, we need to learn a lot more and adapt.
Yeah, so that's even, I think it's a micro learning. It doesn't matter if you're now in a company or in entrepreneurs like us. I think it's inbuilt in everyday steps. I mean, do you feel that as well? It's not like I'm going on a course or something,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a really good example, right? Because education, the whole education industry is changing,
Oh
right?
God,
You said,
yeah, that one as well,
right?
yeah.
Like I care a lot about the education. And micro learning was always, in the education world was always known as the right way to do it, but it was
Mm-hmm.
hard for companies to do it. It was hard before, when technology didn't exist to actually enable micro learning. But now that computers are everywhere, smartphones are everywhere, you can do micro
Yeah.
learning. And what this means is that the big companies, small companies, all the education companies need to rethink their businesses
Hmm.
to leverage and to support micro learning, to ideally, you are still learning. You're not learning in the same way by taking courses in the old
Yeah,
school way.
exactly. The format has changed. I feel that
The
as well.
format has changed, and I think that the companies need to evolve to support you, and I'm going to say take some of your money, right? And build a business. But like this is just, again, that's just education.
Yeah.
Every industry, banking, retail,
Yes.
manufacturing, they're all going to be forced to evolve in drastic ways that all these changes have enabled.
Yeah.
AI, and so this goes back to AI. AI is going to enable you. AI collaborating with experts, leveraging their insights is going to help make that happen. And I'm not saying that I'm going to build the ultimate tool, but it's going to be one tool in that ecosystem that
That
I'm going to do
really,
so that
yes. In the
so that, and
ecosystem. Sorry, I just want to underline that it's an ecosystem of tools, and also everyone is invited to the party. It's new. This is actually something new about our time. It's not like before. About the first question was always which license, which world do I buy into? No, it's not about that. It's about an open ecosystem of tools, and it's about it's us actually clarifying. Okay, what do I want to do? What is my mission? And then can I contribute to that ecosystem? And which ones do I choose to use? Or even
right,
build, like in your case, you're building at the same time.
right. And that actually goes to this other really important point, which is that my brain, the way my brain works, is different than the way your brain works. You have a different, I'll say, superpower than I have, and
Yeah.
that's fine. And you have a little bit different goals than I have. But even if your goals were the same, if we did amazing work, we would do something different. I would likely build a tool, right? I'm
Yes.
very good at analyzing. I would build, have analyses, whatever. That's my strengths. You would likely do leveraging your strengths, and that will help people, help our audiences benefit more from for their problems. You as an expert and me as an expert like would contribute different things.
Yes.
The reason that this is important, I guess, is that in this age of AI, age of social, age of digital that we are now stepping into, our superpowers matter so much more.
Yes,
In the
and
past,
also the connected superpowers, like you just outlined. It's like
right,
what we're doing right now. We're connecting across, I think, I don't know how many thousands of kilometers. The actual outcome of this connection will be that there's leverage on both sides. And it doesn't
exactly,
mean like in the old world. That is something that is also a change and people are getting more and more aware of it. And it's good that they do that. By collaborating in this way and connecting, actually both gain more, and it's not a competition for resources anymore because the resources are there.
right,
You know what I
right,
mean? It's really different.
yeah. It is, and I guess the other bit that I want to make sure is that in the, I'm going to say, non-digital age, what thrived was big companies and everyone looking the same and everyone behaving the same. Now what is thriving, what will thrive because of efficiencies, is our superpowers, is how
Yes,
we are
and the
different from
diversity of superpowers, if I may
the
add.
diversity and the collaboration of them and the connectivity in it.
Yeah.
And so I guess where I'm going with all of this is that you know when it comes to AI, I don't think people should be anxious. I know that right now there is lots of reasons, but I don't think that they should be anxious. And I think they need to figure out, and more people than not don't know what their superpowers are. They need to figure out what their superpowers
Ah,
are,
yes. This is
right?
what your business is about as well, helping people to figure that out, right?
Yeah, helping. Well, yeah, and that's just something that I know is going to happen. I can see it happen. I can see that I have so much better results. So you figure out your superpowers, and then you do that to meet people's pains, and do an amazing job, right? So yes, I'm building a Chat GPT like based tool, but if I'm not helping you solve your problems, no one's going to use my tool. It's just
Yeah.
going to be another cool thing out there.
And that is actually exactly, that's a nice summary of what is new to this world, to this age we're living in, but also what is specific about your business, because you use social media to care about what people struggle with. And that is strong. Because I mean, when I reached out to you on Twitter, the first question you asked me is, so how do I actually generate your value? Or how do you generate income through Twitter? So you genuinely cared for my problem. That was the first step. And that is a new way of functioning. If I had
Right.
reached out to you in, let's say, 2005, you would probably have started differently. I'm not saying you as a person, but we used to function differently. You would have said, check out my new tool. And then I would have, why? You know, remember. So
Right,
that has
exactly.
changed.
Yeah, and so, people have so much spam coming to them, right?
Yeah.
And if I don't care about you, and if I don't, even though I may make money in the process, right? If I don't care about you and guarantee to some extent that you're going to succeed by an interaction with me, you're not going to talk to me. You're
Yeah.
going to just, block me on Twitter or, stop responding to my messages.
So the
Um,
value add, I mean, people might say now, okay, the value add has always been there. That's the principle of business. Right. Yes. But the way we function now in using our superpowers is always firsthand thinking of that value add, not like, okay, there might be, first of all, I develop a tool and then there might be some value add. It's the other way around. We think first about, okay, what is the value add? What's the pain point? And then we develop the tool. It's, don't you feel as well? The world is a bit, it's a different order now.
I agree. I agree. But I'm actually going to modify. This is everything that we talked about. I think that there is three, call them sisters, that come together, right?
Mm-hmm.
One is figuring out that value add. The other thing is relationships,
Mm-hmm.
right? My relationship with you will
Mm-hmm.
give me an insight in terms of, you may, if I have a genuine, deep relationship with you, will say, Vineet, what you're saying is awesome. I would love it. But you know what? I think that there's this other bigger problem that you are genuinely capable of solving. Maybe you should try look at that. So, so
Ah.
I, so I think that value add relationships and us leaning into our superpowers
Mm-hmm.
are the sort of the trifecta that together they come in and they can help us thrive in this new world.
And having, as you say, it's thriving as a service provider, it's thriving as somebody who uses services. It's better work lives, right?
It's not just for a service provider. You are an employee at a big company, that the big company culture is going to change. It's going
yes,
to be.
inside a company as well, inside a team, absolutely, yeah. I'm so much in the entrepreneurial world, I keep forgetting about that. That counts a lot. How the life inside a company actually works, that will change as well, yeah.
It will. They're going to be forced to. It's going to be a little bit shielded, but if the companies don't evolve, then those companies are going to get battered in this new era.
Yeah, there's going to be some selection process going on as well. Now, maybe, so that has been so insightful. Thank you so much. And now maybe as a final question, what would you now say to the viewers now that they got interested in your fascinating businesses, in the tools? What would you say now? First of all, which websites can we say again the websites they need to check out, and how can they benefit from your services? Maybe as a final note, and then obviously I will make sure to link in all the websites that you have in the description of the video.
Right. Thank you for asking that. I have a bunch of free resources. If you're trying to figure out Twitter and social media, I struggle a lot. So all those notes are on Niche Mastery. So that's that place for that. But my strength, what I've been doing for 20 years, is AI. AI. Cone.ai is the place to go. I'm putting it together. The first stuff is for content creation. But very soon we'll be expanding far more than that. Where can I help you? I'm going to call the average person. I'm going to put it in three different ways. How I'm going to help with AI. One is if you want to figure out prompts, the right things, just sign up on Cone.ai. You benefit
Which
from
is
it.
so valuable.
Yeah. If you feel like you have some kind of expertise and you want to figure out what is that your expertise mean in this AI world, I'm sitting together with a lot of people. Reach out to me, DM me on Twitter.
Cool.
I will help you create prompts related to your expertise that you can share with your audience. You can, ideally we can put it up on Cone.ai so that a whole bunch of people can benefit from it.
Cool.
Right.
Thank you for that. That is such a valuable proposition, honestly. And I'm gonna make sure myself, I'm already signed up on one site, and I'm gonna make sure myself to sign up to Cone.ai. Because as you said, there's a pre-registration site, and then as soon as the tool is launched, people will get notified. So
yeah, exactly.
check that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for that. That was so insightful. Thank you, Vineet, for coming on to the Power Minds channel. I think people will learn a great deal. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for making this happen.